Mr. V here. I'm going to show you an exemplar for how to do your infomercial. I'm going to get right to it. If you remember, my topic was universal healthcare in Colorado. So my thesis for infomercial 1 is the following. Universal healthcare is overdue in the United States and should be adopted in Colorado for moral and economic reasons. Let's just get right into my facts. I'm going to start with my visual. This is a map of the world with the countries in dark are the countries that have universal healthcare coverage today. What this map is trying to show is that most of the industrial nations on the planet already have universal healthcare, but the United States does not. The United States does not treat healthcare like a human right the way the rest of these countries do. We treat it like a commodity, something to be bought and sold. Even some of the nations here in Africa, they could be colored in this darker color, but there's so much corruption in their government that the Atlantic newspaper, which I decided to get this article from, decided not to count those countries. The other fact in here that I wanted to point out is that the United States, even though we don't have a universal healthcare system, still spends more money per capita than all but 2 of these countries. So even though the government isn't paying for us, we still pay more in healthcare than those other countries. So the argument that this is going to cost us more is just null and void. The next 2 facts that I'm going to get are from this paper, this essay by medical students from the American Medical Student Association. There are economic and moral reasons. I'll start with the moral reasons why universal healthcare is overdue. In the United States, there is a 25% excess mortality rate, roughly 18,000 people ages 25 to 64 who die in the United States. That means 18,000 more people die than they should from lack of healthcare, from bad healthcare, or from bad timing. That is just not acceptable, and that's a moral reason to have universal healthcare. The economic argument is this. 46.2% of bankruptcies in the United States are medical bankruptcies. And you might be thinking, yeah, that's because people are uninsured. But actually, 32% of that 46% are people who are insured. So even if you have insurance in this country, if you get sick or the timing's not right, you can still end up filing bankruptcy. So those are facts 3 and 4. For fact number 5, I'm drilling down and coming a little closer to home, talking about Colorado Cares, the thing that's on the ballot here in November. What this article says is that the taxes will only be raised by 3.3% for employees and 6.7% for employers. That sounds abstract. Let's see what it really means. I make $35,000 a year. 3.3% of my income is only $1,155. Currently, I pay $450 per month in medical insurance premiums. That's $5,400 a year, not counting co-pays or prescriptions. So, with Colorado Cares, my family would net an additional $4,245 per year, or $353 per month. As you can see, these articles and this visual clearly support my thesis that universal healthcare is overdue in the United States, and it should be adopted for moral and economic reasons.